Hello and welcome again to another episode of the Long Gone Loser Rock Show, and today I'm going to talk about a bit of the past and also the future of what's happening to this channel, because it's the end of the year and I'm probably not going to do another video until the beginning of next year, so I want to fill you in on some of the plans I've got. So, Long Gone Loser. I've had numerous people ask me over the years, why Long Gone Loser? Where did it come from? Whatever. For those who don't know, Long Gone Loser is a song by the Helicopters. It was originally released on a compilation called All Punk Rods, which was released by Lookout Records and Gearhead Records. It's there. And this compilation had the song Long Gone Losers on it. And when I bought this compilation, I was blown away because I love the Helicopters, don't we all? And that song just was like, wow, what a rockin' tune, you know? I mean, that intro riff is so good. As I was growing up, I used to get bullied a lot, and I was always called a loser and shit like that by people, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to take a negative and turn it into a positive. And the Helicopters toured here in 1998, and when that happened, I saw them play, and I immediately said to myself, I'm going to start a zine. So I decided to sit at my computer and start messing around with Word. It was terrible. And I started piecing together parts for a zine, and I contacted people on the internet that I was email buddies with, people that I didn't really know, but you know, we conversed about records over ICQ. You remember that thing? Anyway, so I ended up chatting with the guy who runs Fu Manchu's website. To this day, I believe it's the same guy. And he had a Fu Manchu fan page. And so I wrote to him, and he ended up contributing something about Fu Manchu to my very first issue of my zine. I wrote about the Helicopters. Somebody else wrote about the Dwarves. I had some stuff about glam rock in there or whatever. It was a very thin zine. It was probably like 12 pages or something like that. But it was the start of something. I started sending out the zine to labels and just people that I liked, and you know, bands that I liked and whatever. And the reaction started to be really good and really positive. Now, this was in 1999, early 1999. By the end of 1999, I'd done 3 issues, and I started interviewing bands that I loved. Started interviewing the Muffs, Turbo Negro, the Wonderfuls, Nunchucker Superfly, the Donners, Mr. T Experience, Adam West, tons of bands, right? Tons and tons of bands were in the very first 3 issues of the zine. So the zine was doing really well. It took off, and I was selling hundreds of copies of each issue, which I was very happy about, because, you know, like, to sell 100 copies of anything these days is not that easy. So then the zine, you know, blew up. It got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I started churning out a lot more issues, and I did 14 issues in all. And then it got to the point in 2008, after 10 years, where I decided I don't really feel the love for this anymore. I didn't hate zines or anything like that. I just felt that my heart and energy was not there to give it its full potential. Now, doing a zine is tough work. Anybody who does a zine, and if you're watching this now and you do a zine, you know how hard it is to do a zine. It is a lot of work, and it's a lot of finances that you will never see again. But in 2008, nobody was buying my zine anymore. It was like, oh, well, why can I buy this when I can just read everything online for free? And so I was like, damn it, you know, drats. And so I stopped the zine. I put the zine to bed, and I didn't do another issue for at least 9 years or something like that. And then I did one more issue, and then I just called it a day completely. I just did one for nostalgia's sake. In the mid-2000s, I was listening to a podcast. Now, I didn't really know what podcasting was. I just knew it was like independent radio stations or something like that. There is a podcast which is called The Rock and Roll Geek Show. It is the longest running music podcast, I believe, on the internet. It is incredible. The guy's done, you know, probably about 1,000 shows. I have no idea. The guy named Michael Butler. He used to be in a band called American Heartbreak. That podcast is awesome. I used to listen to it all the time. I must say I have not listened to it in a while because I just don't get time. But I really love his podcasts, and I really love the interviews he's done. In fact, if you've never heard the interview that he did with Monty Melnick about his book On the Road with the Ramones, you need to listen to that interview, because it is a really, really good interview. And you'll hear things in there that will make you feel differently about maybe a certain member of that band. It's a great podcast. Now, he was encouraging me to start one. He read my zine. He was featured in one of the issues of the zine. And he said to me, you really should do a podcast. You've got the stories, you've got interviews, whatever. You know, you've got this awesome magazine going. Turn it into a podcast as well. And so I ummed and ahed about it. I didn't know how to do it. And I used for my very first episode, which was released, I believe, in June of 2007, I used a microphone that was so cheap and crappy. It was actually off a Super 8 film camera that I bought from a Cash Converters for like $10. And I didn't have a microphone, but I had that. And so I unplugged that from the video camera and I used that as my microphone to speak into. It sounded like it too. It wasn't the best microphone, but I did not have the money to be able to set up, and record a podcast. Not like now, you can buy kits, on Amazon for like $30 or whatever, which are podcasting kits or whatever. You couldn't do that back then. This is 2007. These things weren't available to you. So I started recording the podcast. I believe the first episode of my podcast had an interview with Eric Adams from Manowar from memory. Maybe it was the second one, but I get a feeling it was the first. Anyway, I had interviewed Eric Adams and I decided, you know what, that's going to be my first episode. I will put that interview with Eric Adams up so that people can hear it. So I'll put it up there for people to listen to. And the response I got was huge. Like, people really got into the idea of Long Gone Loser as a podcast. And so over the years, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. It was hosted by a company in San Francisco. Now, they would send me the stats. You could log in, you could see your stats and things like that. At one time, at the peak of Long Gone Losers podcast, it had hit something like 64,000 unique listeners. And then all of a sudden, the hosting company decided to delete the whole lot. They deleted every podcast off its server that was not produced at their studios in San Francisco. And mine wasn't, so it was deleted. So 176 episodes were recorded. So it was about 5 years work, all gone. I gave up. I was just like, I'm done. I don't have the energy to redo it all. And so I gave up on it. And then, a couple of years had passed and people were like, nah, man, you should really get that going again. That was a great show. And so I'm denied about it. And I was like, you know what? Fuck yeah, it was a good show. I'm going to start it again. And I started doing it again. And I ended up interviewing a bunch of bands. I interviewed LG Petrov from Entombed. I interviewed L7. I interviewed Tad. I interviewed the Helicopters. I interviewed so many bands, right? I just interviewed tons and tons of bands. And I was loving it. Really, really loving it. And then I was just burnt out. I needed a break. I was just like, I was doing too much for too long. And I just decided I need to rest. I was doing journalism for magazines. I was doing web TV, interviewing bands for TV. I just didn't have time and I had a day job. So I was burnt out. I needed a break. And I, put everything aside and whatever and just relaxed for a few years. And then one of my friends said, have you ever thought about doing, your podcast, but doing it in video form? Because you've got, cool records and you've got good stories and you've got so much memorabilia and stuff that maybe it would be cool to see it in a video form. Now, I was like, I don't really want to do that. I'm not really a face for TV, for video. And people were like, but yeah, you did interview those bands on Heavy TV and stuff. And I was like, good point. But I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if it's in me. I just am not feeling up to it. And then all of a sudden, I just thought, fuck it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go in. And thus, the Long Gone Loser Rock Show was born in the video series that you see here on YouTube. I had done videos before, a long time ago, for this Long Gone Loser channel. I did some stuff on Pig Destroyer when they did an in-store record appearance here at Missing Link Records. It showed footage of them playing in the basement of Missing Link and chatted to them afterwards.
Long Gone Loser, rooting your mom all night.
Ready for a spit roast. Ryan Pig Destroyer here. Had a fucking great time in Australia. Fucking greatest crowds in the world. Cheers to everybody. Hopefully we can come back soon. Love you.
I did a video on the Magic Circle Festival in 2008 when I went to Europe to see Manowar play for like what seemed like 10 hours. And they played the first 6 albums in its entirety. That was great. And I filmed a bunch of stuff and I made a video about that.
We're in Meringenhausen, is that right? Meringenhausen, whatever. We are walking towards the Manowar Festival now, and it's all brutal and rock and roll. And there's a group of us. And we're just rocking and walking. Apparently it's 3Ks. And yeah, this dude's already fired up. Look, he's already got his medieval outfit on and his horn. Yeah, still walking. I think we've walked about a K. On an out, we think the stage is just there, so we must be pretty close. Yeah, that's all rock and roll. We wander towards the campground. We hear Holy Hell playing in the background. There you go. Your first preview. I think we're here. It's 9:03 p.m.
And then doing that, I was realizing that I really like making documentary type stuff. So for those that don't know, this is where we get to the future of this channel. In 2002, I went on tour with Marky Ramone and the Speed Kings, an awesome band that was kind of like hot rod punk rock and roll. Loved it. I got invited to go on tour with it by the guitar player of the Speed Kings, and immediately I was like, oh yes, I am there. So I went on tour and I filmed everything. I filmed so much stuff. And so because I filmed so much stuff, I feel that holding on to it is not the best thing to do. I'm going to share it with the world. So I'm going to turn it into a documentary using all the footage that I took. There's hours of footage. I'm going to compact it down to a nice, concise, short documentary on my time with Marky Ramone. It's titled I Was a Juvenile Speed King. It is coming in 2023 to this channel. So if you are a fan of the Ramones, subscribe, like, whatever you want to do, and you can be up to date when that video goes live. I'm not sure when it's going to go live. It's not finished. I've got a lot of work to do on it, but I'm letting you know that it's coming to this channel. That's the first thing. The second thing is that between 1999 and 2003, I went to film school in Adelaide. And while at film school, I had this idea about doing a documentary on Australia's music scene between 1983 and 1993. Now, for those in the know, prior to that, we had the Saints, Radio Birdman, all those bands, and they are amazing and everybody loves them, but they've been talked about to death. That's not to discredit them. It's just that there is a lot of information about their hell. There is an amazing documentary on Radio Birdman called Descent into the Maelstrom that if you have not seen, you need to watch. But the years of 83 to 93 are still a mystery. While those who were there know what was going on and how amazing it was, a lot of people forget about it. 1983 to 1993 saw the emergence of labels like Orgogo, Waterfront Records, Grown Up Wrong, Dogmeat, Greasy Pop, etc., etc. Tons of amazing record labels were coming out of Australia, churning out amazing records. Now, most notably, the biggest ones were Waterfront Records and Orgogo. I've decided to narrow it down from being about all of those labels. It's going to be just on Waterfront Records. I'm going to do the history of Waterfront Records from a fan's perspective. I'm going to tackle every single release on the label. And we're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about test pressings. We're going to talk about poster art. We're going to talk about the shows. We're going to talk about every single thing we possibly can. I've been speaking with people who were there. I've been speaking with the label owners. I've been speaking with the bands. I am trying to get together this incredible piece of work for you because I want to share it with the world. Waterfront Records was my favorite label of all time. It introduced me to the Hard-Ons, which then took me into the independent world of punk music, and I have been in love with this music ever since. I'm a die-hard advocate for the Australian music scene in that time, and I want to share it with you because it is amazing. I love it. I want you to feel it and be a part of it too, because Australian music at that time is phenomenal. There are so many releases on Waterfront Records. They're all amazing, and I want you to know about them all. So join me for my documentary series coming in 2023 to this channel called All's Quiet on the Waterfront, a fan's perspective on the history of Waterfront Records. It's going to be long. There is a lot to get through. But like I said, I have everything from artists, posters, flyers, I've interviewed people connected with it. I've been talking to people so close to Waterfront that means a lot to them, and I want to share all of that with you because this is coming from a fan's perspective. I'm not interviewing the bands about being on Waterfront. I've been talking with fans about their love for the label and the music and what it did for us, because this music and this record label was so special. So if that appeals to you, like and subscribe, whatever you want to do, and you will be in the know when that documentary series goes to this channel next year. That is the future of this channel. I will still do these videos where I will talk about records and whatever and all that sort of stuff because, you know, I've been doing that since, 1998? I'm not stopping now. So I wanted to share this with you today. I want to say thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you are new to this channel, thank you so much for being a part of it. I know it's only a small following on this channel, but we are a nice community. We talk about records, we support each other, and we share stories. We share our love for this music. And I love that about our little community, our little Long Gone Loser Rock Show community that we have commenting on these videos. It means the world to me. I love the positivity that comes from it. We want to share with you a positive experience with the Long Gone Loser Rock Show. We want you to feel and enjoy the music that I share with you, because my whole belief in life is to talk about the music that I do like and not talk about the music that I don't like, because at the end of the day, nobody cares. They really don't. So if you're here to talk negativity and just talk about, you know, bands that you hate, please do it somewhere else, because we're not interested. We want to have a nice positive community here talking about records that we do love. So yeah, but anyway, it's been an awesome year 2022 for me, for this channel, and for Long Gone Loser. So thank you so much for being a part of it and enjoying the ride. I hope to see you in the new year, and, you know, look after yourselves, take care of each other, have the best Christmas and an awesome New Year's if that's something that you're celebrating. If not, just have a great holiday season. I will see you in 2023 with a bunch of great stuff. So take care, look after yourselves. I will see you soon.